Hey everybody, it's Eric. Getting back to you on day 5 of FAI, post-op surgery. Today would mark day 5 since I had surgery, and I guess just give you a tidbit about what I had done, where I'm at, and where I'm going uh, with today's video. So I had FAI. I had a cam pincer impingement, which basically meant my socket was a little bit deeper and my femur had a little bit more roundness on it, which caused a knocking effect in tearing my labrum and my anterior aspect of my hip. I also had 3 anchors placed in to fix the labrum, as well as a psoas lengthening, which basically is 40% muscle, 60% tendon. A lot of people get snapping issues in their groin from this. If you're in a supine position, bringing your leg out and pushing it back out, you'll get a snapping aspect in your groin. It can create inflammation, which I had some issues with that as well. So I had that lengthened, as well as a capsule plication, where they uh, create a capsulotomy in order to get into your hip. They also close your capsule on the way out so it doesn't create instabilities. So that's basically the background of what I had done. It would make my first surgery on my left hip, 4 total. And my last 2 surgeries were Dr. Ochi. He's at Inertial Orthopedics, great surgeon. I recommend him to anybody on the East Coast or anybody in the U.S., frankly, who has this problem. He deals with all levels of athletes, high school, collegiate, professional athletes, whether it's hockey, baseball, football, ballet. He deals with it all. Oh yeah, and on a side note, I also had a PRP injection. Not a lot of doctors do it. It's typically only seen or benefited in post-op, right after you have surgery, and helping heal the labrum back to your bone. So I had that done, which I can see a difference because I'm not as in significant pain after this surgery as what I was with my previous 3, which I am currently still recovering on my right side. So as of today, my hip doesn't feel that bad. It's pretty sore. It's achy. That's probably pretty typical after this type of surgery. They did pull your hip out of socket by about 10. I'm not sure if it's 10 centimeters, but it's a good distance to get some instruments into your hip. A lot of people have problems with numbness afterwards in the top of their foot or on top of their quad. I don't have that problem on my left one. However, I did have that on my right one, and I still have a problem right about in here. So I'm starting to get some of the feeling back, and it's not pleasant. So today was the first day at the gym, and really all I did today was the bicycle. I stayed away from a recumbent bike. It's not really good for your hips. A lot of physical therapists and doctors who deal with this tell you to stay away from a recumbent bike. You want to be in a bike where your hips are higher than your knees. Just like if you're sitting, you'd like to have a little bit more parallel than 90 degrees. So that's what I did today. 7 minutes, no tension. You want no resistance whatsoever. And you want to be doing that pretty much right out the gate after this type of surgery. Some doctors have you start the next day. I know a couple people's protocols are getting on a bike the next day, and the last thing you can think about is getting on a bike after the surgery, especially when you're still doped up. So I waited a good couple days. I've done it a little bit earlier in the past, but I didn't really see the need to really rush this one. I had a lot of work done, so you really want to take your time, eat really healthy, keep fluids, multivitamin, maybe probiotics, and just a good healthy diet. Chicken, egg whites. If you can afford to do that, then great. That really helps with this type of healing. So I had a couple people ask some questions about some exercises that you would start typically after this surgery. And I'm sorry, not the recumbent bike, but the bike is one of the first things you'll start doing. And you'll probably warm up on that every day at physical therapy, and it includes some stretching. So I'm going to give you a couple things you can do other than the bike the first week or two. And these are some things that are going to progress to some other things that are going to include some resistance. But the first one is range of motion. And this strap right here is one that you're going to use every day, probably for the next 6 months, maybe even longer. It just depends on how well you recover. I will say that if you do a lot of physical therapy beforehand, it will really help you recover faster, because the better shape you're in and the more muscle tone that you have makes this a lot easier for people. So this right here, this exercise I'm going to show you, really replicates what a CPM machine is, which is a continuous passive machine. It's a crazy contraption that people spend an absurd amount of money to put their leg in for 4 hours a day, which basically keeps you sedentary and doesn't afford you getting up, which you really want to get up a lot with this surgery. I know it's a pain, but between blood clots and keeping just your sanity, you need to get up. So this exercise right here, which requires you to put this around the end of your foot, and you can keep the right knee up or the left knee, whichever one is your non-operated hip, and you basically just want to pull this up till you get about 80 degrees, right around 90, and hold 5 or 6 seconds, push back down, and then come right back up. And this is when you're going to do probably 2 or 3 times a day, easily 4 or 5 minutes if you can. It replicates the same thing a CPM machine does. So you're really just doing this to stay loose so you're not tight, and keep scar adhesions from occurring, because your body's natural reaction is to scar after you have something cut on. Some people scar worse, some people don't. So this is one you want to do on a daily basis, just back and forth. The second one, which helps with your range of motion, is what we call the butterfly. Basically your legs coming out to the side. Well, this one's an assisted. So with this exercise, you basically just want to hold on to this one and let your legs just flop. Now, I'm only 5 days, and my left leg is already the same range of motion as my right side. It's a little sore on the IT band side, but it's already there. So you just want to keep doing this over and over. And sooner, probably in 3 weeks or so, you'll start doing bands where you're actually pulling in, but you'll be laying on your side, which will be in a position like this, where your legs are going like this. Those are clamshells, and those work your glutes. And those are really big in the recovery for this, because you want to have a really strong core, trunk, and quads and glutes. So the bike, the strap for the CPM machine type motion, butterflies, and glute sets basically are just tightening your glutes. You can just do it 10 to 20 times just consistently throughout the day. That's another one. It's an isometric exercise, as well as some light stretching. That's probably going to occur probably in your second or third week. You won't really do any sort of crazy stretching with the band or toe touching type stuff. You don't want to do a lot of bending over after this surgery. It's just not safe. So when in doubt, I know you might feel old using this, but it's great. So I made it to the gym, did all these exercises, and then basically for recovery, I use what we call an EMS or TENS unit. If you've ever been to a physical therapy consult or sessions, they usually look a lot bigger than this because they're medical grade. Not to say that this isn't medical grade, but performs the same actions as those $3,000 ones that they have. And they also come with these pads. Now you're going to want to do research before getting one of these because the TENS unit is for pain, and an EMS replicates massage action on your muscles. So it triggers your muscles to contract in and out, in and out. So basically firing your muscles. I typically use this for the EMS and not the TENS because after exercising you're usually sore, so your muscles. That's what I use it for. The TENS aspect I do use on my back, and it does help, but that's a whole different story. I got a tear in my back and a disc, so that's different. You want to find a good brand for this, hopefully one that has instructional videos on how to place these pads, because you can place these pads in improper places on your body, and it's not going to feel really pleasant. I can tell you that for sure. So be careful. If you do purchase one of these, you can ask your physical therapist on how to use these, or at least where to place this in terms of your hip, and go from there and use it for 10 to 15 minutes. And then after that, ice down for about 20 minutes, and then bam, you've pretty much did a PT session for the day. And I think the only other thing that I have been doing is using this isometric ball. If you can get your legs up, you just want to place the ball in the middle, and your belly button you want to kind of contract towards the floor, kind of like you're going to do a sit up, but you don't. And then you just want to squeeze lightly and just hold for 5 seconds. And you just want to do about 15 or 20 of those 2 times a day. And those are just the simple exercises you start out with. They seem monotonous, but they're things that you do have to do. You got to retrain the muscles to start firing all over again. Depending on how long your muscles haven't been working properly after the surgery. I think they say something to do with muscle memory. It's like 10,000 times you have to retrain yourself to do it in order to properly fire on your own. So just keep at it. If you have any questions, concerns, complaints, feel free. Just leave a message. I'll respond as quick as possible. I might be a couple days or so, but in the next couple days, I'll probably add some more exercises and give you guys some more insights on some things that you can do for recovery with this surgery. Keep using your crutches. Limit your steps as much as possible. I'm currently on the first floor and haven't really been up any steps. And limit your seating to about 20 minutes per session, as well as getting up all the time. You're probably going to get a lot of tendinitis if you tend to do a lot of sitting after this. And that is basically bad inflammation that takes a long time to go down. And that's why a lot of people on here have flare-ups. So be cautious of that. And just keep at it. If you have any questions, just give me a shout. Hope everybody's doing well. Take care.